Ladies and gentlemen, sometimes the most powerful move you can make is no move at all. No arguments, no begging, no explaining. Just walk away. Because in the silence of your absence, you will hear the truth of their heart. When you stop calling, do they check in? When you stop giving, do they start taking? When you stop showing up, do they finally notice you're gone? People show you who they are not when things are easy, but when the game changes, when the energy shifts, when the supply runs dry. Some people were never clapping for you. They were just keeping time until you failed. Some relationships only exist because of your efforts, your sacrifices, your willingness to carry the weight. But the moment you walk away, the illusion shatters. You'll see who reaches out and who lets go. You'll see who values your soul and who only valued your service. You'll see who was loyal and who was just convenient. Walking away is not quitting. It's choosing yourself. It's realizing you deserve reciprocity, not just responsibility. It's understanding that your peace is priceless. The moment you take that step back, you reclaim your worth. And those who are meant to be in your life, they won't let you walk far. They'll chase, they'll speak, they'll fight to stay, but the rest, let them fade. Let them reveal themselves, because walking away is not the end of your story. It's the beginning of knowing who really belongs in your chapter. True colors rarely show themselves in comfort. When everything is going well, when the sun is shining, and the road is smooth, it's easy to wear a smile, to speak kindly, to show up and pretend everything is pure. But character isn't proven in the calm, it's exposed in the storm. It's in the unexpected silence, the uncomfortable distance, the inconvenient moments, when you stop doing, stop giving, stop running toward others, that you begin to truly see who stands with you and who was only standing near you. There's a common mistake people make. They confuse presence with loyalty. Just because someone is around doesn't mean they're truly with you. Proximity does not equal connection. Some people stay for the benefits, not the bond. And it's only when the benefits disappear that the truth shows. When you stop giving them attention, affection, time, money, validation, whatever it is they were there for, only then do their intentions step into the light. When you're constantly in motion, constantly serving others, constantly showing up, you become a mirror, reflecting their needs. You become the convenient store of emotional support. But the minute you stop, the minute you pull back even slightly, suddenly the mask slips. Suddenly you're too distant. Suddenly you're being called selfish, cold, detached. Why? Because you're no longer feeding the illusion they depended on. The hardest part is realizing that some of the people you care about the most only love the version of you that serves them. They don't love your quiet, your space, your no. They don't love you when you're unavailable, when you need them to give instead of take. That's why comfort is a deceptive filter. It allows people to hide in the warmth of routine, in the glow of constant access. As long as you're always present, they never have to prove their care. They just coast on your energy. But when you remove that comfort, when you create distance, not to punish but to pause, that's when reality unfolds. That's when you find out who's real. Who sends the message without being prompted, who checks in without needing a reason, who shows up without needing an invitation. That's when love is no longer a transaction but a truth, and truth doesn't flinch when the room gets cold. Truth doesn't retreat when silence falls. It leans in, not out. It reaches across the gap. It finds you, even when you're not looking. That's how you know who really sees you, not just what you do for them. Distance is the ultimate revealer. It is the microscope that magnifies intent. When you step away, the right ones feel the pull and move closer. The wrong ones feel the inconvenience and drift further. This is not abandonment. This is clarity. This is stepping out of the noise to hear what's real. Some people are addicted to access. They believe they deserve your energy, your time, your attention, without having to earn it. And they don't realize they're borrowing from a soul that is slowly draining. You become tired not because you're weak, but because you're carrying relationships that lean too heavily. When you finally put that weight down, When you walk away, the silence that follows becomes a language, and what's spoken, or not spoken, reveals everything. See, loyalty isn't measured by the good times. Anyone can be loyal when it's easy. It's measured in the wait, in the quiet, in the effort people make when nothing is being given. When there's no spotlight, no reward, no applause, who still shows up? Who still chooses you? This is where distance becomes your teacher. It teaches you that not everyone who says, "I'm here for you," really is. Some are there until they're inconvenienced. Some are there until the benefits stop flowing. And some are there because they genuinely love you. But even they need space to prove it. That's the beauty of stepping back. It doesn't just reveal others, it reveals you, your habits, your fears, your patterns. You learn how much you've overextended, how little you've asked for, how often you've settled. You also learn that not everyone can handle your boundaries. Not everyone can love you at arm's length. They only know how to consume, not connect. And that's okay. Let distance filter what your presence couldn't. Let silence speak what your words were too tired to say. Some connections aren't broken, they're exposed. And exposure only happens when you stop hiding in the service of others. You stop explaining, justifying, begging to be understood. You start listening to what's not being said, watching who's not showing up, and honoring what that reveals. When you walk away, not with anger but with awareness, you give people the chance to rise or fall on their own. You remove the crutch. You end the performance. And in that space, you meet truth. Not the truth you hoped for, but the truth that sets you free. Because the people who are real, they don't need you to be perfect, present, or performing. They just need you to be you. And they'll show it when you're absent, not just when you're always there. So take the step back. Breathe. Watch. You're not losing anyone by walking away. You're just finding out who was never really there. When you stop chasing, something incredible happens. You create space. Space for truth. Space for clarity. Space for what's meant to come to you, not what you've been forcing to stay. So, many people spend their lives running, giving, proving, showing up time and time again just to earn love, attention, or a sense of belonging. They exhaust themselves trying to be enough for people who barely meet them halfway. But the moment you pause, the moment you let go of that pursuit, everything becomes visible. The fog lifts, and what you see is no longer filtered through your effort. It's real. People often think that if they stop reaching out, everything will fall apart. But what falls apart when you stop is exactly what was being held up only by you. It was never balanced. It was never mutual. It only survived because you kept fueling it. That's why stopping feels like a collapse. But it's not a collapse. It's a reveal. You are not destroying anything. You are discovering what was already unstable. When you stop calling, texting, planning, giving, and constantly showing up first, pay attention to what happens next. Not just emotionally, but practically. Who reaches out? Who notices your absence? Who feels your silence and tries to fill it? Not out of obligation, but because they genuinely miss your presence. Those are the people who choose you, not the idea of you, not the version of you that always gives, but the actual you, in your stillness, in your quiet. There's a deep lesson in letting go of the chase. It teaches you that the ones who care won't need a push. They won't need reminders. They won't forget your worth the second you're not in front of them. They'll carry your presence even in your absence. You'll see them show up differently. They won't need to be pulled. They'll walk toward you because they want to, not because they benefit from your effort. And yet, there's another layer to this. The uncomfortable one. The realization that some people never really cared. They cared about being chased. They cared about your pursuit, not your presence. They cared about the feeling of being wanted, not the connection that should come after. Once the chase is over, once the energy is no longer directed toward them, they vanish. Not slowly, immediately. Because they were never staying for you, only for the reflection of their own importance. When that happens, don't grieve. Be grateful. You've just been handed a mirror with perfect clarity. You no longer have to wonder. You no longer have to guess. You saw the truth. And the truth is freedom. Chasing is not love. It's not commitment. It's survival mode disguised as devotion. Love doesn't make you run yourself into the ground just to be seen. Love meets you halfway. Sometimes it meets you more than halfway, but it never leaves you alone on the road. This is also where applause becomes deceptive. When you're chasing, when you're loud, when you're giving your all, people cheer. They say you're loyal, dedicated, irreplaceable. But sometimes, the same people cheering are the ones secretly hoping you stay busy trying to win them over. It makes them feel powerful. It gives them control. It lets them sit back and receive without having to reciprocate. That's why applause is tricky. Just because someone is clapping doesn't mean they want you to win. Some clap because they enjoy the show, not because they believe in the performer. They enjoy your energy, not your essence. They benefit from your presence, but they're not invested in your growth. And when you grow too much, when you stop performing, when you start demanding better, not only for yourself, but from them, that's when the clapping stops. That's when the smiles fade. That's when the truth emerges. Not everyone who looks like support is actually supportive. Some people are placeholders, not partners. They stand next to you in the light but disappear in the dark. Their praise is loud when you're pleasing them, but silent when you're struggling. You know who they are the moment you step back and look around. Who's still there when you're no longer the one clapping for everyone else? Who claps for you when you're not performing, when you're just being? That's the measure of real connection. And it's not about being negative or paranoid. It's about being aware, about recognizing the patterns. When you're constantly chasing people, their reactions are based on your movement. They don't have to try, because you're already trying enough for both of you. And when people never have to try, they start believing they never have to care. Your effort becomes expected. Your love becomes background noise. Your loyalty becomes taken for granted, until you stop. And when you stop, if all you hear is silence, then it was never. It was dependence on your chase. This truth may sting, but in that sting, there is strength. You learn that pulling back doesn't mean giving up. It means creating room for reciprocity, for peace, for relationships that aren't built on your exhaustion. It means giving others the opportunity to show what they're really made of. Some will surprise you in the best way, others will disappoint you in the most revealing way. But either way, you win, because truth is always a victory, even when it hurts. Walking away from the chase gives you your power back. It stops the cycle of proving your worth and replaces it with proof of others' intentions. You don't need to beg for what's meant for you. You don't need to convince someone to care. The right ones will feel the absence and seek you out. They won't need to be entertained, impressed, or constantly reminded. They will value the quiet moments as much as the loud ones. So step back. Watch closely. Let the silence speak. Let the stillness sort through the noise. The ones who are real will find their way to you without a map. They won't need your chase to stay connected. They'll walk toward you, not because you stopped running, but because you finally stood still long enough to be found by the ones who truly care. Some people don't love you. They love what you do for them. They love the way you show up without being asked, the way you anticipate their needs, the way you stay, even when they don't say thank you. The truth is hard to face, but it must be spoken. Some people depend on your energy like it's oxygen, and they give nothing in return. They drain and demand, and when you're empty, they wonder why you changed. When you are the one who always initiates, always gives, always fills in the emotional gaps, you attract people who grow comfortable taking. They don't even recognize it as taking. To them, it feels normal, expected. You've trained them through your consistency. You've conditioned them through your kindness. And before you know it, you're not in a relationship. You're in a transaction where the currency is your energy and the return is silence. It happens slowly. A missed "how are you" here. A canceled plan there. A forgotten birthday. A lack of support when you needed it most. And yet you keep showing up. You keep giving because you believe in loyalty, in patience, in being the bigger person. You think maybe, just maybe, they'll notice your effort. Maybe one day, they'll match your energy, but they don't. They never do. Because people who are used to being carried never realize how heavy they are until you set them down. Some people don't recognize their dependency on your presence. They aren't conscious manipulators. They're emotional freeloaders. They survive on the stability you provide while offering none of their own. They borrow your strength during their storms and disappear when the skies are clear. Then, when you're the one needing shelter, all you hear is silence. This is where awareness must replace emotion. It's tempting to hold on, to justify, to explain their behavior through their past, their trauma, their circumstances. But explanation doesn't excuse repetition. You cannot heal people who refuse to be accountable. You cannot pour from a cup that never refills. You must realize that your energy is not infinite, and your loyalty should not be blind. Walking away is often painted as giving up. That's the lie you've been told by those who benefit from your staying. But real strength isn't in holding on. It's in letting go of what weighs you down. It's in recognizing when a relationship has become a burden rather than a bond. It's in choosing peace over exhaustion, clarity over confusion, dignity over desperation. Some of the strongest moves are the quietest ones. Not the shouting match, not the emotional breakdown, just the simple, steady step back. The kind that isn't made out of anger but out of understanding. The kind that says, I finally see this for what it is. I finally value myself enough to walk away. And it's in that moment, when you finally choose yourself, that everything changes. There's nothing selfish about self-respect. There's, nothing wrong with saying, this is no longer healthy for me. You're not obligated to stay where you are only tolerated. You're not required to keep giving just to keep people comfortable. You are not a source of endless light for those who offer you only shadows. And walking away doesn't mean you hate them. It means you love yourself enough not to be used. You'll know who's who when you set boundaries. The ones who truly care will adjust. They will listen. They will respect the space you need. But the ones who are only there for what you offered, they will resist. They will accuse. They will turn the narrative on you. Because your strength threatens their control. Your no disrupts their comfort. Your distance exposes their dependence. But don't let that stop you. The noise that comes from setting boundaries is temporary. The peace that follows is permanent. And sometimes you have to lose people to find yourself. Sometimes you have to let go of the familiar to discover what real connection looks like. Real connection is not built on guilt. It doesn't make you question your worth. It doesn't punish you for having needs. It grows when both people are willing to give, to communicate, to show up in equal measure. And if that balance doesn't exist, then you're not in a connection. You're in captivity. Trapped in a loop of giving with no receiving, of explaining with no understanding, of showing up for someone who doesn't even notice you're there. Let that be your cue. Not out of bitterness, but out of wisdom. Because the longer you stay where you're not valued, the more you forget your value. The longer you tolerate emotional imbalance, the more you begin to believe that's all you deserve. And nothing changes until you do. Nothing shifts until you move. You are not cold for choosing peace. You are not heartless for protecting your energy. You are not dramatic for asking for the bare minimum: respect, effort, care. You are human, and humans are not built to be batteries for others. You are built for connection, for exchange, for mutual growth, not silent suffering. Walking away is not weakness. It's the final step in a long process of waking up. It's what happens when love for yourself finally outgrows the fear of being alone. And what you'll discover is that alone doesn't mean lonely. It means free. It means clear. It means no longer having to question, to chase, to perform. It means sitting with yourself and knowing that your worth was never tied to how much you could endure for someone else. Some people will never understand why you walked away. That's okay. It wasn't for them to understand. It was for you to breathe again, to sleep without overthinking, to wake up without dreading, to live without constantly giving more than you get. And here's the truth. The people who love you in your strength, those are the ones who belong. The people who stand beside you when you stop bending, those are the ones who matter. You don't have to keep everyone. You just have to keep those who keep you. So walk away, not because you stopped caring, but because you started caring about yourself too. Walk away, not because you're done loving, but because you're done begging. Walk away, because sometimes the best way to honor a connection is to let it go when it no longer honors you.